as we look at past theory and theorists, and you'll see on the website, I give a lot of information away on the website, and I would kindly ask you to check out the books. We flesh out common mystic illusion, deceptions, theories, concepts, perspectives, and what we do is we put them to the test. We say, can you see stars through the celestial chambers? And the answer is no. Anyone that has stated that has either misled you because they wanted to, or misled you because they did poor research. Either way, they misled you, and if it's because of research or because they lack integrity, you need to understand that their other research may lack integrity as well, and things they told you. You need to, we need to be able to separate ourselves, fact from fiction. But we have, and I hate to name names, but what is it? John Anthony West. He's some people refer to as the Egyptologist heretic. States that many things, he'll say anything to get some press and some publicity. He and, what's his name, Robert Schoch, Professor Schoch, who claims to be a geologist working with a university in the Boston area, they put together a film, and it was sensational, that the Sphinx was of Atlantean design. We addressed that quite simply, directly, in regards to, can the Sphinx be of Atlantean design? And one thing that I want people to simply focus on is the largest rock pile in the world, which is the Great Pyramid, as well as 8 other rock structures, sit in the immediate proximity of the Sphinx. The Great Sphinx appears to be wonderful in the postcards because they take a close-up of the face with the pyramid off in the distance. And we'll show you some of those images, which are nice. But I want you to look at some of the other images I produce and demonstrate that the Great Sphinx is 65 feet tall, approximately 65 feet tall. But the base of this Great Sphinx is 115 feet lower than the base of the Great Pyramid. But they sit in close proximity one to the other. If the base of one is 115 feet higher and the structure that sits at the lower end is only 65 feet tall, it means it sits in a great big hole. I ask you, what is the most popular, most sensational rock quarry in the world? And I give you the Sphinx. The Sphinx itself is commonly described, do a search online, the largest freestanding rock sculpture in the world. The largest freestanding rock sculpture in the world is often identified as the Great Sphinx. I asked people when I was there, because I'm just a simple fella looking for simple answers, how did they move this rock? How, if it's the largest freestanding rock structure in the world, sculpture, how did they move it in there? And they go, you dummy, it's naturally existing. And I said, well, great. Since it's only 65 feet tall and everything around it's 115 feet tall, the base, where did all the rock go that they pulled away to expose it? And I point to the hill where we find the Great Pyramid. We actually have our pseudo-geologists who say the rock structure on the head is of a different density than the body, thus the erosion and things of that nature, demonstrating we have a full range of rock structure, rock type, and rock density used in the structures all around us. Here's the problem. How or why would you create the largest rock pile in the world, or two of the three largest rock piles in the world, immediately adjacent to the largest hole in the desert? And which would come first, the hill or the hole? I submit to you, they came together. The removal of stone that created the Sphinx is actually piled on the hill. Anyone that tells you that the Sphinx is older than the pyramid is most likely lying to you, and everything else they said is deception. Not everything. They may tell the truth once in a while. I just haven't seen it in any of their research. Here's the unique thing. As we look, and I'll shift gears because I like a lot of common sense, practical theory. If we were going to harvest a forest today, with common technology, rock skidders, trucks, things of that nature, we would possibly start at the highway and we would start removing trees, piling them, shearing the limbs, putting them on the trucks and hauling them away. Isn't this common to do? It absolutely is. We would start from the main hard road, working our way all the way to the back of the forest or plantation we're harvesting. Seems simple. The funny thing is, in days of old, when we used donkeys, mules, and other things, we would not start at the road and work back. We would start at the back and work to the road. And I explain why. Because in the days of donkeys and mules, and before we had tractors and high-tech equipment, we would actually have problems because as we remove the trees from the road going back, we would create stumps and debris that would cause us problems bringing the timber out of the harvest. So it'd be foolish to start at the road and move back, as we do today. So what we have to do, we have to reverse our theory and technology. In order to harvest timber in days of old, we would start at the back of the plantation and harvest bringing the trees through the forest to the road. And I tell you why. Because as you're bringing a tree through the woods, you don't want to trip it over stumps and roots and things of this nature. But if we had a snatch block mechanism attached to the forward end of the tree, we could pull it and it would lift the tree. And the tree, we could skip it through the woods to the front. And as we removed the back, the debris would be in our wake. And when we got to the road, we would have the complete harvest done and we would be finished. Seems rather simple. We would leave. It would work. Different technology, but that's how we would do it. That's how they did it. You ask why I bring that up. Because lifting a rock from down low to up high is somewhat difficult. But if we left a center island mechanism, much like the trees for our tree harvest, that we could use to trip, we would call it in cargo married fall system, to where we could actually use that as an assistance to get the rocks up the other side. It would actually help using pulleys, guy wires, things of this nature to get a rock up on the other side if you had a center island higher than or as high as the level you wanted to move to. So what happens is once you've finished quarrying all the rock and you had this ugly center island left, somebody would say, well, what are we going to do with that? And they said, well, hey, why don't we just put somebody's face on it? And that's how they did it. And I can tell you when they did it, and I can actually tell you who it is. It's the most incredible revelation in the world. But what you have to do, you have to throw out John Anthony West's theories and much of what he's had to say. Professor Robert Schoch, you dispose of much of his archaeology and geology. Most geologists, get this in front of a geologist, and geologists will tell you this stuff doesn't work, and I'll explain that in the next segment. But once you remove it and you understand that the hole and the hill came together, we actually timeline both the Sphinx and the pyramid and reveal that the Sphinx came second. It had to. And the face came later. And I'll tell you how we know who the face is. Because again, academics can argue forever as to who it is, but it's just academic debate. I will show you how to produce the picture, the image, the model that created the face of the Sphinx, and I'll tell you who it is. But that's in book 5, and it hasn't been released yet.